Hello, my friends. If you notice, I'm in a little bit of a different place. I'm at Laura's house. I'm at House Reinhardt instead of my house. It is my birthday, so happy birthday to me, and thank you for joining me on this joyous occasion. I'm at Laura's because she's gonna make me dinner, and she made me a cake too, caramel cake. Um, so I finished reading Nick Ryan's Charge the Battle, and I put out a review, which I try to do, especially for living authors, because I try to help everybody else. Everybody gets a 5-star review, unless the book is bad. If the book is bad, then I'm not going to review it. I'm just going to be quiet because I'm an author myself. I want 5-star reviews. I If you give me a 4, 3, 2, or 1, I won't hold it against you. Honesty is always the best policy. But it helps with marketing. The higher, I mean, no one's going to have like a perfect score of 5. That would be suspect. But you want to be above 4. And so to be above 4 stars average, you need at least quite a few people giving me 5-star reviews, and then all the other ones they give you 4, 3, 2s, and 1s. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first of all, here's the intro. Hello, my name is Cody C. Engdahl. I'm the author. I'm the author of 6 novels. One of them is yet to be released. That's the French Fiasco, and that is going to be coming out April 16th. We have a special on that. You can click on the link below. Basically, it's going to be $4.99 in the U.S. and whatever that is in the U.K., in Europe, all around the world. It's going to be available. When we run the 99-cent promos, we can only do that in the U.S. and only in Britain. But in Britain, I can only do 99 pence. In the U.S., I can only do 99 cents or higher. I can't do any lower. But before the book comes out, because I'm trying to get pre-sales, I'm able to offer it at that price all over the world. And not only that, more comparable to the U.S. price. So, for example, it's only 99 cents if you do the pre-order in the U.S. If you do the pre-order in the U.K., it's 89 cents. And it's whatever is comparable in the European Union, all the different markets actually in Germany, because I think each one of those is Germany and Spain and Italy and France all have their own Amazon page. So wherever, if you buy it in Japan, if you're buying it in Argentina, you're gonna get that same price at 99 cents. That I'm not able to do for promos, but I can do it for pre-orders. I don't make the rules. So I just try to function under them. All right. So what we're going to talk about today, we're gonna do the review. It's my birthday, so happy birthday. And then we'll talk a little bit. If you don't know, I have tongue cancer. It's in the base of my tongue. I started chemotherapy, and I'll talk a little bit about that. This is probably the only place I really talk about. It's not a secret, but I haven't really made an announcement. I might do that on Facebook. I'm beginning to tell people on an individual basis. It's not a secret, so if you know, you're free to talk about. All right, so let's talk about. Let's bring it up. Let's talk about Nick Ryan's Charge the Battle. Now, I am, if you know my work, I am a historical fiction writer, and more specifically, I write military historical novels and of the 19th century. My books go all the way back to 1838 and all the way up now into 1870. But I'm a fan of not only all eras in historical fiction and historical action, adventure, military, but I like contemporary military and even like space fantasy, or they call it space opera uh, um, or space marine kind of stuff. I like all things military and action, adventure, and fighting. Hey, we got Brian Riley here. Brian says, "Happy birthday! Thank you very much. It is a happy birthday." So anyway, I normally read like things that are closer to my own genre. But every once in a while, I get on and read something else, and something that I don't normally do. And so I well, lately I've been interested in modern warfare, and I'm never gonna write modern warfare. I mean, I don't have any plans on it, but I like to visit it. And I've been very interested in mechanized infantry and mechanized cavalry, and which is this fine line between the two. I mean, I think they some of the mechanized infantry acts as dragoons, some of them act as proper cavalry. The lines are blurred. It's those are more of like 19th century kind of things. But I was interested in like the Striker, which is a armored personnel carrier, and the Bradley, which is an armored fighting machine. It's a little different. Uh, Strikers have tires. They're not as heavily armored as like a Bradley. They should not be fighting tanks. They're more about um, carrying troops to the front and then letting them out the back to dismount, kind of like dragoons. But they don't have the kind of armor or weapons to like go head to head with a tank. Sometimes they'll put Bradleys in with tanks. Now Bradleys have tracks. They're more heavily armed, more heavily armor, and they're there to give infantry support to tanks. I won't go much further than that. So, anyway, I finished reading it today, and I put up my review. And let's see here. Yeah, let's see, most recent. Yep, and my review is already up. Sometimes Amazon takes a day or two to approve a review. Sometimes you do it rather quickly. We got Lloyd. Lloyd says, "Happy birthday." Thank you, Lloyd. It is a happy birthday. Let's read my review here. I'm going to take that down, and I'm going to instead go to, let's see here, stop share, present, share screen. And we'll do, when I do a review, I post it on uh, Goodreads and Amazon, and then I put it on my own blog and share my blog, because with my blog, well, first of all, I can get people to sign up for my blog and then build that, and then also I'm able to put previews of books built it into my blog. So not only do I put a preview of the book I'm reviewing, but I also put a preview to my own book. So everything circles. It's all about me. It's the Cody Anglo show. So, book review: Charge the Battle by Nick Ryan. Let me just check to make sure I'm still on camera. There I am. All right, good. All right, let's see. And if I haven't said it already, I have tongue cancer. That's why I talk funny. So gone is my beautiful television voice, where I used to be able to read teleprompter. Now I slur and stumble my way through my own writing. So bear with me. Book review: Charge the Battle by Nick Ryan. This was exactly what I was looking for. I'm normally a historical fiction reader, and I write 19th century military novels. I decided to reward myself after finishing a Franco-Prussian war book by reading something contemporary. I've recently been fascinated with modern mechanized warfare, especially how it compares and contrasts with the mounted warriors of the 1800s I write about. I was particularly interested in Stryker and Bradley armored personnel carriers. I found this book after some researching, and boy, was I happy I did. Charge the Battle is an absolute action packed romp through the opening scenes of a speculative World War III. Nick Ryan certainly knows his stuff, and if you read the acknowledgments at the end, you'll see he had a lot of help from those on the inside. The setup is quite familiar, although the book was written for the Russo-Ukrainian War. In Charge to Battle, the Russians have begun their reconquest of their lost empire. They quickly roll through the Baltic states and are now driving toward Warsaw to take back Poland. NATO has been caught with their pants down. They scramble to meet the challenge, rallying their thinly spread troops to protect the Polish capital, a small force of American strikers and Polish militia sally forward to harry the Russian advance in a desperate attempt to to buy the Allies time. It all comes down to a bridge that the striker force must cross without air support, as all the air assets are concentrated at Warsaw. The Russians are dug in deep and ready to contest every interest into the crossing. First Sergeant, I'm sorry, Sergeant First Class Tom Edge leads his mechanized cavalry platoon of four strikers to recon the bridge. With him are a company of Green Polish troop mounted on KTO Rosomax, which are their version of the American striker. However, Sergeant Edge and his soldiers find themselves in the heart of a desperate, bloody battle as the Russians defend the bridge to the death. As I said before, this is an action-packed novel, which spends most of the time in detailed battled scenes. Nick Ryan is a master of this. He's also good at explaining how weapons and vehicles work and the tactics using them. Still, I found myself looking things up, mostly because I was fascinated wanting to see what they looked like. If you want to see how how a modern conventional battle would play out between equally advanced adversaries, this is a great book, and is only one out. I'm sorry, it is one out of 11 in the series. The series is called Nick Ryan's World War III Military Fiction Techno Thrillers. The novels are about 50,000 words and take place in this imagined but very realistic war. The books are not sequential, so you can start with any one. They each feature a different window into the war with different technologies. One book is about submarines, another one is about fighter jets, and so forth. Honestly, I was just going to read the one about the Stryker armored personnel carriers, but I might have to read more now that I am hooked. Now that I am hooked, they're rather short, so it's easy to burn through one in less than a week. Took me actually 5 days to read this one. If you want a realistic look into modern conventional war, what a modern conventional war might look like among highly advanced equals, I think any of these books would give you a good taste. Great job, Mr. Ryan. I look forward to reading more. And then I'll do this. Check out Charge to Battle. See what I mean? It has a built-in preview that you can right on my blog page. You can get in. You can preview what the book looks like, and then there's a preview of my book, of course. Because I'm all about selling me. You can take a look at that. And here's my latest book here, The French Fiasco. Like I said, it's only 99 cents in the US. That's a mistake. It's 89 cents in the UK and whatever the comparable price in other places. There's no preview because is there a preview? No, because I haven't published it yet. I actually there's a version of it up now. It's just a kind of a placekeeper in case I get I mean I'm not going to die from my cancer, but in case something happens, anybody who there is a version of it up that's and every time I go through a level of editing, I upload a new version. So that's a Nick Ryan's book. Let me let's see. I'll do stop screen and I'll bring it back up here so we can look at it. Share screen. Here we go. Oops. We just need to get back to the top. Yeah, there we go. There's the next book. So Nick is a very I think these are independently published. I could not find a publisher on there. So I think Nick, like me and Lloyd, and a lot of other my friends, has kind of stepped away from the traditional publishers and did it himself. It really is. If you have a business sense and you enjoy the marketing, there's more and more. There's less and less reasons to go with the big publishers. I think big publisher will get you into a bookstore, maybe get you some distribution. Um, but the majority of the market is online on Amazon and in ebooks. And so I think Nick knows this. Now, Nick Ryan has made a name for himself in this genre. You might be familiar with Tom Clancy. And this is a really weird thing, but there's a few authors that they've done this. Tom Clancy has become a brand into himself. Now, Tom Clancy has passed away, and I have read several of Tom Clancy's books and enjoyed them. He has passed away, but his name is so strong that they've used his name as a brand, and they have multiple authors writing under his brand. So it'll say Tom Clancy presents blah 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 by Nick Ryan. Nick Ryan was writing under the Tom Clancy brand, and so he's at that level. And he's got. So I think there's several Tom Clancy books out there that are written by Nick Ryan, and then he's got two series. He's got this one, and he's got another one that looks like a contemporary zombie apocalypse in which modern day military is fighting zombies. So if you're into zombies and all that, there's that too. But this series is really interesting. So this is the Nick Ryan's World War III military fiction techno thrillers. Like I said, there's 11 of them, and they're you don't have to read them in any kind of sequential order. You can just pick one and read it. Basically, the setup is that World War III has started in Europe with the Russian advance pushing west, and then each book is like a separate standalone story in that war, and each book kind of focuses on a different combat arms. Like there's fighter pilots, there's submarines, there's one with tanks, and like I said, it even says in it that they're all like 50,000 words. So I wouldn't call them novellas. I would say they're still in the. Once you get over 50,000, that's a short novel. That's still a novel. To me, novellas are like anywhere from 20 to 40,000, and then there's novelettes. I mean, the lines are certainly blurred. Okay, so anyway, by the way, I'm hustling along because Laura is on her way home, and so I just wanted to knock this out before she gets here. So it's my birthday. So thank you for birthday wishes. I've spent most of the day thanking people who sent birthday wishes to me on Facebook. It's one of my favorite things to do. I usually have my page closed because I have like over about 3,000 friends and followers, and sometimes people try to use my page to spam people I don't know, and so I had to make it so that no one can write on my page except for me. But like the day before my birthday, I open it up to everybody because like I'll start getting it'll start with like I'll get birthday wishes from New Zealand and then Australia and Japan. I got friends in Japan. And then it just starts moving its way around the world. So I'm very fortunate in that, and I get a lot of good wishes, and it always makes me feel good. So I spend all day thanking everybody because I always want to make sure that everybody knows that I personally appreciate everybody saying happy birthday to me. I'm 54. It's not my last birthday. I'm gonna have many more. I'm gonna survive my cancer. Yes. Okay. So we'll talk about the cancer. It's I went Monday for my first chemotherapy, and I had a lot of questions. I have a great doctor as a whole team, but I have a doctor, Dr. Murphy. She's in charge of everything. It the cancer came from HPV, which is a virus, human papilloma virus. I can't remember how to say it. I don't carry the virus anymore. It's something I got as a young man. I looked it up, and if you look it up, there's a good chance I got the virus from having too much of a good time. I was kind of a wild young man. So my late teens and early 20s. I did a lot of things, and that may have led to me getting the virus. I don't carry the virus anymore. I can't pass it to anybody anymore, but it's one of the leading causes, especially of throat and tongue cancer. So that's a good chance of that. I might have gotten it from my grandfather, who I look just like. My grandpa, Elvin Doyle Bean Blossom. I'm a carbon copy of him and my uncle. Both of them are dead. I know my grandfather died of throat cancer. I'm not sure what my uncle died of. Both of them led hard lives, so I've led a semi-hard life. I'm a drinker, but I stopped smoking in my early 20s because I'm allergic to it. Um, I The other thing that's happening is last week I went to I've been going to a swallow therapist because the tumor has made it hard for me to swallow. And they stuck a camera down my nose and then had me like swallow water, applesauce, swallow some M&Ms, like pretending like they're pills, and swallow some fruit. And what they found out was that on a scale from 1 to 7, seven being no problems with swallowing, and one being you're not able to eat anymore. I'm at a 2, which was shocking to me. I didn't know that. And so it's very difficult for me to take food in. Uh, and I don't need it yet, but my doctor said that she wants to put a feeding tube into me because as I go through radiation, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so it's going to get to the point where I'm not going to be able to eat or drink anything through my mouth. And so I'll have to have a feeding tube put in. That was kind of a bummer, but I decided, okay, well, if that's the case, I will go ahead and do that. So the feeding tube's been ordered. But until then, and even if I get a feeding tube, I'm still, if I'm able to do it, I can still eat. But they're afraid of aspiration, which means food going down the wrong tube, which could cause complications like pneumonia and that kind of stuff. So, anyway, I have 7 weeks of chemo and radiation. I had my first chemo yesterday, and it was actually quite pleasant. It's an IV. They first they give you like a bunch of things to counteract the side effects. Like they give you like an anti-nausea, uh, a Benadryl in case you have what they call an allergic reaction, and some other things, and then they put in the chemotherapy drugs. There's 2 of them, and what the chemotherapy does is that um, stops the cancer from spreading. So it stops the cancer from growing, reproducing itself. So chemo does that. Radiation kills the tumor. So one of the side effects, or the main side effect of chemotherapy, is nausea, and I've been given pills for that, but I'm told to only take them if I need them, and I'm fine. Now I might get worse as I go on and on, but to tell you the truth, the only thing about the chemo was that I was drowsy from the Benadryl, and I went and worked. I do field interviewing for a research company, and I had an appointment to interview. It's a program that helps bring disadvantaged kids out of bad neighborhoods into good ones. So I go into the homes and interview the moms and kids, and I uh, I also take like biometrics, like weight and waist circumference and height and things like that. So I did one, and it's a long interview. It's a lot of talking, and I was tired, but I got through it. But I was kind of proud and happy that I was able to go and do some work after I get done. After I got done with chemotherapy. So tomorrow is radiation, and the way it's going to work is after tomorrow, I'll be getting radiation Monday through Friday, and then chemotherapy once a week on Monday. So that's it. This is where I am now. I'm gonna cut this one off short. I just wanted to get it in. Oh, let's just go back. Let's do the French Fiasco. So I'm breaking it up into 7 segments. I am right now editing the third segment. The first segment I edited it, sent it to Laura. She edited it. I did all her corrections, and then sent it to my mother. She has proofed it. So the first part is good to go. That's title page all the way through chapter 1, and then part 1 is segment 2, and that I have finished. Laura has that, and when she's done with that, I will do her all her corrections and then send it to my mother. And right now, I am in the middle of editing part 2, which is segment 3. I know it's confusing. The third segment, I'm editing. Each segment is like a novelette into itself. Because basically, I'm starting. There's an opening. There's the opening material, which is the title page, all the things that from the very beginning. Title page, the copyright, table of contents, the preface, the dedication, the epithet, and then chapter 1. And then it's part 1, which is called The Affair. And then part 1 is about 6 chapters long, and it's got its own little arc and its own climax. And then part 2, which is called Atrocities. And then after part 2 is Metz, and then the Battle of Sedan, and it goes on and on. So anyway, it's on target. I'm really my first read through. I was very happy. There was parts I felt like, oh, this is kind of clunky writing here and there. But now I'm going through and I'm fixing all that, and it's getting so much better. It's going to be a great read. I think technically it's my best work. I still love Mexico, My Love. I love the story in it. But what's great about this book is I think my writing's better, and my prose is better, and I think this is a great story. And I think what's great about it is that it brings together a lot of open threads from the trilogy, and Mexico, My Love, and from The Prussian Prince. Especially if you read Mexico, My Love, and you were a fan of that book and you wanted more of that story. This book has it. There's a lot of resolution. I'll tell you right now, this is no spoiler because chapter 1 starts with Pierre Godfrey. And if you read Mexico, My Love, Pierre is the main, I would say, not villain, but antagonist. The thing about him was after I wrote the trilogy and I wrote, I thought, a very good villain, which was Nathan Woods, who was really a proxy for, I'm sorry, Ethan Woods, who was a proxy for Nathan Bedford Forrest, if you didn't know that. Because I couldn't make Nathan Bedford Forrest do things he didn't do. So I made Ethan Woods be the proxy for him. Ironically enough, I made it where Nathan Bedford Forrest doesn't like my villain and doesn't get along with him. So when I wrote Mexico, My Love, I wanted to challenge myself. I said, you know what? Instead of writing like a villain, I want an antagonist that you might like, that you could possibly. I mean, Pierre is a scoundrel for sure, but he's a likable one, and he's a little bit of an anti-hero, and I've always written him that way. And he's kind of a frenemy because he's like if you read Mexico, My Love, he starts off as Diego's best friend, but they become enemies, and enemies for a good reason on both sides. And so I like that dynamic. It's fun to write that way and to play with those lines of friendship and animosity between people. So I brought him back into this story. And like I say, he's one of my favorite characters, and he's great in it, and he's got a great part. The story starts. Chapter 1 is kind of like a prologue, and you find out what happened to Pierre after Mexico, My Love, and where he is, and then he plays a big part in this book. So it's gonna be great. It's not my last book. If it was, I'd be very happy with it. would be my swan song. I once listened to Brian Cohen, Somewhere Books podcast, and he had a woman on there who, by the way, went through cancer, and she said that her career really took a turn. I'm not saying this is gonna happen to me, but she said that her career really took a turn when she was going through cancer and she was writing a book because it different. It gave her a different focus with her work, and I think it's done that for me too. And so her question was to the listeners: if you found out that you were dying and you had only so many months to live, is the book you're writing right now, would you be happy with that being your last book? And that's a powerful question. And I said yes. I think it is. So this is not my last book, but if it is, it's a good one. I think it's a great capstone for the series. If it ends there, it's certainly a resting place. So what happens after that? I am going to write a prequel novella exclusive to my my email list. So if you're not on my email list, go down in the notes and you can see you can sign up there. You're going to get two things from me for free if you do. One is it's going to be an experiment. If you've read in my books, they all have a glossary at the end because I use a lot of terms. I don't want to always explain what the terms are. So they're military terms or archaic terms or foreign language terms. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile all those glossaries and I'm going to make the Engdalian glossary. And I'm going to offer it for free as an ebook to everybody on my list. And I'm also going to put it up on Amazon if people want to buy a physical copy of it, or the digital copy will be free. The only reason why the physical copy will cost is because there's cost in producing a physical book. Then I'm going to write a novella. This is a marketing tactic. It's basically, why do you have an email list? Because it costs money to advertise on Facebook and Amazon. But if you have an email list, it costs a little bit of money of like maintaining a domain name and a domain and a email server and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't cost you any money to send emails out to your list. And the trick is you don't want to spam them, but let them know, hey, I got something on pre-order. Come get pre-order my book, or I got a new book out. Blah blah blah. It's you control your own platform. So that's very important. Right now, I have about, I think, 79 people on my email list. So I'm still building it. So please join. I won't spam you. I'll just let you know when things are happening. But one of the ways to get people to join it is to give them what they call a reader magnet. And so I learned this from Brian Cohen. So he says, write a short story or novella and then offer it exclusive and free to your list. So that's what we're going to do. This novella is going to be called The Underground Railroad Ball. It's going to be Chester E. Newman. He's from the original trilogy. He is trying to get his captaincy in the 2nd Michigan Cavalry. In the meantime, he is a sheriff's deputy, and he gets embroiled in a case of a runaway slave and the Fugitive Slave Act and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be action-packed. It's going to be a novelette. It's probably going to be about 5 or 6 chapters, probably 20 to 40,000 words, and it's only going to be in ebook form. And like I said, free and exclusive to my list. After that, my plan is, I could change, but right now my plan is to write a book called Black James. It's about a character that is mentioned in the trilogy, and then he makes an appearance in Mess of My Love. He's a pirate, and it's going to be kind of an epic generational story, starting with his father, going all the way back to Africa, all the way up until the point where you meet him in Mess of My Love, and then we'll see what happens. That could be a series unto itself, but we'll see. After that, we're going to get to back to the main series. We're going to pick up with Carl after the Franco-Prussian War. I have 4 books planned. One is going to be like a North African adventure. um, possibly Egypt, possibly the Egyptian Ethiopian War, which featured a lot of Civil War veterans fighting as mercenaries in that war. So there's a historical reference there, and a reference to American Civil War vets. Both very interesting. Confederates and Yankees fighting together for the emir of, I think it's Emir Pasha, whatever the title is, of Egypt against Ethiopia. So that is, I think that's fascinating, it's something I wanted to play with. I have a Western that that's going to bring back some old characters. You remember Kyle um, and Catherine in Blood for Blood. They flee Memphis and go west. We're gonna meet up with them. And there's also the kids. There's little Raji and what's his name, uh, little Jimmy B, who are the kids. Those kids come about in Blood for Blood. They're gonna be teenagers, and we're gonna bring Carl. And there's gonna be some reunions going on. It's gonna have a bit to do with Mexico and the Porfirio, which is Porfirio Diaz, who was a dictator of Mexico at the time. And then after that, I have a Japanese adventure. Now, it's going to feature a character that you're going to meet in the Western, um, and a character is eventually going to bring Carl to Japan during the Meiji Restoration, and you're going to meet some famous historical characters in that book. A historical character that I'm fascinated with, that I had plans of writing a trilogy about, but instead of a trilogy, I think I'm just going to have him in several of these other books that I'm going to write, and that's going to be a surprise, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then, the Japanese book is going to be like 1801. And so I don't know if there's going to be any more Carl books in between, but I have a kind of a Carl's End book where Carl's like 70 years old. And it's going to start with the Gettysburg reunion in 1913. It's the 50-year reunion. But Carl is going to go to that reunion and see a lot of his old friends, Confederates and Yankees. But he's going to be chased by German agents because Carl's still in trouble with the Germans, and you got to read the French Fiasco to find out why. But he's going to get embroiled in a clandestine mission that a friend of his from novels I haven't written yet is going to ask him for some help, and it's going to put Carl um, into the beginning of World War One, and it's going to put him up against the brass baron, the Baron von Himmelsfandrer. And if you don't know who the Baron von Himmelsfandrer is, read the French Fiasco. You might know who the Baron von Himmelsfandrer is because she's been in every single book. Well, he hasn't been in Mess of My Love, but you know him. It's Klaus. And it's going to be kind of the last go around with those two. And it's got the ending's written, and it's got a great ending. It's a powerful ending. Gives me goosebumps thinking about it. I'm very excited. That will end what I call the Carlyade. That will be then there's just so many different things I can do. I have a pre-World War II Rise of the Nazis books in Berlin that I want to write that I think is going to be really cool and a lot of fun. I don't think I'll get all the way into World War II, but right now I think it ends with like in 1936 and the Night of the Long Knives. That's the night where Hitler started off with his brown shirts, the SA. They were thugs. A lot of them were low class street brawlers, and he used them to go break up all their political. This is during his rise, right? So he would send his brown shirts to go break up other political rival meetings. It was very anti-socialist, anti-communist. and he would send those guys to break up other, they did his dirty work. But once Hitler got into power, they became an embarrassment to him, and so he replaced them with the SA, and the SA are I'm sorry, the SS, and those are the real famous, the real, dirty ones. And not all the German soldiers were, full on Nazis, but the SS were absolutely political soldiers in the German army. And the Night of the Long Knives was a purge in which Hitler sent his SS off to go slaughter the SA, and they went. The SA was having, like, I think it was like a Christmas party or whatever, and the men would like dress up like women and get drunk. It was real crazy, and while the men are like getting drunk and having a great time, the SS shows up and just starts slaughtering. There's I think the leader of the SA was a homosexual, and he was like in bed with another man, and the SS came in and shot them both in bed together. I mean, it's just that novel's that's going to be there's a marquee battle in all my books. That's going to be the marquee battle, is the Night of the Long Knives. But it's going to be a love story between a couple that gets torn apart because of politics. But it's going to have a good ending in the end. And then there's just so many different things I want to do. I have novels that I want to write that are kind of standalone, but part of my long century idea. Long century to me is French Revolution all the way up to World War II. So I have a French Revolution book that I want to write, and that could turn into a series. I have an idea for a great idea of the Haitian Revolution. In fact, if my Black James, which is about a black pirate, if that does really well, I might skip to the Haitian Revolution, because I have a really powerful story I want to tell there. And the Haitian Revolution is fascinating. If you've ever read anything about it, it's more than just the slaves rising up and killing their masters. It is everybody against everybody. It is the rich whites versus the poor whites versus the black slaves versus the free blacks versus the mulattoes. At the same time, all of them are fighting for control of Saint Domingue, which is now called Haiti. At the same time, you have France, England, the United States, and Spain also fighting to try to get control of the island as well. You have great historical characters like Papa Toussaint, who's like the father of modern day Haiti, who's a hero. You have Desailly, who's the one who ultimately ordered the slaughter of all whites on the island. But there were blacks that were protecting and hiding whites from the purge. It's an amazing story. It's a brutal story, but it's also full of lots of moments of heroism and honor as well. And that's the stuff that I love. So we might do that. And then let's see. I have an American revolutionary story I want to tell, that is going to be, I think, a story that no one's ever told, that I think will be a lot of fun. I'm going to give away right now. And then after that, I was thinking the other age I'd like to go to is, I like swashbuckling. I like everything. I like Romans. I like ancient warfare with spears. I like Space Marines, but I like the stuff where swords and maybe black powder pistols. And what I consider the swashbuckling era to me is like the early modern age to the high modern age. So like early modern age starts in 1450 with the fall of Constantinople. This is where the swords start getting longer and thinner, and there's the onset of gunpowder, the Renaissance. This is swashbuckling. It's a little bit more gentlemanly than the Middle Ages. So I love that era, the 1500s. The only thing I don't like the wigs so much, but but I like all of that. And I've been writing the 19th century, but I want to go back and do that. I'm really interested in Poland and the story of the Poland-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the Polish Hussars, who were like the greatest cavalry unit of all time, um, and the struggle with Poland with like the Ottoman Empire. A lot of Poles, a lot of middle Eastern Europeans were forced into the Janissary army, which is a slave army, and took on like Muslim names and became warlords. It's really interesting. It's fascinating stuff. Meanwhile, they're fighting off. The Ottomans are fighting the Russians and the Prussians and everybody else between. Pretty interesting. Poland at one point was a very powerful nation. Later on, it got partitioned out of existence. Um, I think Poland was wiped off the map in the late 1700s with the second or third partition of Poland. They they were they finally were made a country again, I think, after World War One, but then was once again split up by Germany and Russia during World War Two, and then fell under the control of the Russians afterwards. They finally got their freedom. That's why the Poles are very militaristic and um, very nationalistic as well. And Poland right now, Poland is all about fighting Russia, and Poland, I think, has the largest land army in Europe right now. And when that kicks off, Poland's a NATO country. It's going to be all in. It's going to just like Germany crossing into Poland started World War II. When Russia and Poland go head to head, here we go. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Laura's gonna be here in a minute. Happy birthday to me. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. I'm gonna do this every week, and you're probably gonna watch me slowly fade away, but I'll bounce back because I'm gonna get weaker and weaker and sicker and sicker. I'm probably gonna lose all my hair over the 7 weeks of chemo and radiation, but I'm gonna be fine afterwards. I hope I don't lose my tongue because I'm a big talker. If I do, it'll be all right. I'll just write. All right, love you guys. If you have authors out there that you like, make sure you're giving them reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. 5 stars if you're willing to give them out there. Keep reading, keep writing. If you're a writer and you have any questions, you want some advice, I'm here, man. And I'm not a coach. I'm not charging anybody any money. I mean, there's only so much I'm gonna do. Don't ask me to read your book. I'm backlogged with that. So other than reading and editing for you, but I will give you some advice about marketing, or if you want to talk your book out with me, I'm happy to do that. All right, I love you guys. I'm fine. Don't worry about me, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay.